In the game, you get out with what you put into it. It's like a walk of life. If you're good enough, go out and get it, no more about it.
But not so much control in the centre of the field from Kilkenny as Richie Bennett sends it high and over the bar.
Your mother sends you down to the shop for a pound's worth of goods and she gives you 50 pence. You can't get the pound's worth of goods, can you?
Just about kept in. Oh, well done, Shawnee Buckley. To do that to Tommaso Shea. He deserves to score from here. One of the highlights of the Sunday game.
Limerick went out there from the word court today. No more about it. They made all the running, that was it. Put the ball over the bar and the back of it, and that's it. No ifs, no buts.
Is there much time left? We have a couple of injuries. Here comes Kieran Carey. Carey leading the charge of the right brigade. 45 metres out. He's a chance to score. He's put it high.
There's no sympathy in this game for anybody.
I'm enjoying that intro, Tom, as much as the first day I saw 270 episodes ago.
Yeah, especially with Limerick and Clare not too far away. There's that reference there, certainly. With
I was there, and it only looks like yesterday, and I have to believe that score didn't get score of the year in that particular year.
Yeah, the only issue I'd have with that score is Ger Canning referred to as hitting it high and over. I don't think he hit it too high, but he definitely hit it over.
But he did hit it over.
Just enough, yeah. In fairness, it's good, great commentary from Ger, and obviously an even better score from Kieran. So, if we get a point to win a game in Ennis in a couple of weeks like that, we'll take it.
But you know what would we give at the moment for a point like Shawnee Buckley got?
Oh yes, indeed, yeah. What a score that was! He had was it Tommaso Shea twisted and not?
Tommaso Shea twisted, and too many didn't do that in Tomas's career. Like,
no, they certainly didn't. Yeah, and that was at a time when Limerick were, I suppose, maybe coming to the tail end of their real competitiveness with Kerry. But hopefully, those days will come to Shannon's side again for the football side of things. But we'll come on to the big ball as this progresses. But yes, you're in tune here with Treaty Talk episode 273, as Matt says. A lot of episodes now with that opening credits, and we're here to discuss all things Limerick GA. Of course, we've another All Ireland on Shannon's side. We've another league semi-final for the hurlers. We've a league final for a Camogie team. And unfortunately, we've relegation for the footballers. So all the ups and downs in a few short days in the Gaelic game. So we'll go through each and every one of those and a few more bits and pieces beside over the next hour or so. Matt, I mentioned another All-Ireland on Shannon's side. It's got right down in the south of the county. You were one of the proudest men I could see in Tulla on Friday afternoon. A tremendous occasion, a tremendous win, a deserving win for Sculpole Kilfinnan. And the Michael Cusack Cup now resides in Kilfinnan in County Limerick.
Absolutely, and I found it hard to contain myself a bit. I have more than a passing interest in Sculpole, and that my three children are all past pupils of it and did very, very well out of it. Thank you. Thanks very much. Thanks to Sculpole. So, look, it was a special day, and you were there, Tom. We were together, sure. And, I think a 5 points winning margin was sort of generous in many ways to Ballygar. I think Sculpole were, they were more than 5 points better. But having said that, they had a few scary moments. First of all, they had a scary at the very start. But of course, if you're to get a scary moment at the very start, is the right time to get it because you have plenty of time to recover. But they were going to point down after 4 minutes. And you were saying to yourself, bloody hell, what's going on here? But they settled, and they had, captured the lead by halfway through the half. And I think they restricted Ballygar to a single point for the remaining 26 minutes of the half.
Yeah,
and then they had a scary moment going down the home straight when you'll recall Tom Ballygar got 3 points in a row, and they had reduced the margin to 2 points with 10 minutes to go, and then Shane Fitzgibbon got a long range free. But to me, and I think I said it to you at the time, the real turning point in the game was that excellent individual point scored by Dara Cronin. He was playing at right corner back, but he somehow found himself going down the left wing. He kept going. He beat a couple of defenders and put it over the black spot. It was an inspirational score, plus the fact that it put Skullpore 4 points clear with about 7 minutes to go, or that thereabouts.
Yeah.
And from there on in, it was more or less Skullpole's to lose. Look, it was an all-round team performance, a fantastic team performance from 1 to 15. And even the subs that came off the bench made a notable contribution. And I suppose it's unfair to be singling out people, but you'd have to single out the performance of Darren Froon. I suppose, Tom, it was one for the ages. On a day when scores were at a premium, he got 4 points. But the strike before halftime from the line ball, was special, and it was the kind of score that deserves to win any game. It was absolutely, and he walked up to it so nonchalantly and cool, and the next thing was by, and I suppose it was a good 15.
You know what I liked about it, Matt? Do you know what I liked about that? Do you know what I liked about that score, apart from obviously the technical skill, was that basically his whole school was behind him, because it was right in front of the stand. So you had first years, second years, third years, parents, everyone. And, I can tell you, it can't be easy when you've that, maybe not pressure, but, that kind of sense of occasion coming up on top of you. But as you say...
Actually, his parents were quite near him, because they were down on the right from us in the stand at that particular time, whether he was aware of that or not. But he seemed to
block that out, to block that all out.
Yeah, he seemed to be totally oblivious to what was happening around the stadium. All he was focused on was getting the ball, putting it down, and putting it where he wanted, and by God, he did it. But his overall performance. But it's very hard to single out people like Shane Fitzgibbon into the game, carrying an injury, outstanding. Christian O'Gorman, the joint captain inside full forward, absolutely fantastic. And Ballygar were front loaded into the full forward line. But it didn't phase. They had an 2022 Galway minor full forward, a 2023 minor corner forward. Actually, ironically, the goal was scored by the corner forward. There wasn't any on any Galway team.
Yeah.
But the way that the Skullpole full back line, after conceding the goal, the way they absolutely shut up shop, Tom. It was absolutely fantastic, and it filtered into the lines out through the field, like your John O'Connell and Kevin Hayden raiding down the wings. It was fantastic. But our heart must go out to Dahi Dennehy, who spent the 2 days before the game in bed sick, and he got out of his sick bed literally, and he played 35 minutes. And I was attending the homecoming on Tuesday, and he was still out sick. So, like the contribution that he had made up along, was simply phenomenal. And it was sad, like that he wasn't able to be at his best on the big day. But you'd find it hard to believe that he was sick with the 35 minutes he gave. They were. Like, he gave it everything for 35 minutes. There was no doubt at all about that. But a fantastic day for the school, and a fantastic day for South Limerick, and a bit of North Cork as well thrown in there. It's a school that I have seen here through the years. For a long time, it was St. Paul's Convent, and it was a boarding school for girls only. Then it went co-ed, and the enrollment and the student population has risen over the last 13 or 14 years from 180 to 725 almost. So, it's phenomenal growth. Gives them a big choice, and the ethos towards sport and towards extracurricular in the school is just simply fantastic. And congratulations to Skullpole. Fantastic day, a fantastic win, and something that they will cherish for the rest of their lives. Yeah. And just on schools, we spoke briefly about it last week. We spoke about St. Mary's College from Newport.
Yeah.
They were playing in the All-Ireland final again in Tulla, 24 hours after Skull Pole. They were playing Colashte Aina, is it, from Salt Hill?
Yeah, it's Enda, whatever the Irish of Enda is. Enda, I suppose, wouldn't it?
Enda.
Yeah, of Salt Hill, basically.
My Irish, unfortunately, is Tasha far no better, you know. But Irish or English anyway. The final score was St. Mary's College 6-17, Colashte Aina 1-7. Now, we spoke last week about the Limerick connection, and I'm happy to say that 4 Maru Boher players started. Evan Duffy in goal, Jamie Long at midfield, Tommy Cusick, who's a current Limerick minor, and Darren Colopy, who was a Limerick minor for the last 2 years, were in the forwards. And you had in the subs, then you had Fenton and Cahill Sheridan, and you had Dara Burke and Sean O'Connor, plus Kyle Furlong from Ahan. Now, Darren Colopy got a goal and 3 points. 3 points from frees. Tommy Cusick got 2 points and Jamie Long got a point. So huge contribution there from the Limerick students. 9 of them in all, picking up All-Ireland medals. So 30 from Skull Pole, 9 from Maru Boher and Ahan. Not too bad a return from Tulla. Roll on Tulla every year.
Yeah. And a fine venue in Tulla as well. We were a bit jealous that the Clare Boys had such a facility available to them. Fine stand, befitting of an occasion such as that. You know, really brought the crowd into us, and I'm sure it was the same for the D final on Saturday. But we were at the C final, obviously. You know, it really brought a sense of it. Nice presentation area, even for the players to get up there and collect the cup. You know, it was tremendous. I really enjoyed it as an occasion. You know, as someone who wouldn't say I was neutral entirely, but someone who's kind of a bit removed from it compared to yourself, Matt. You know, a very enjoyable game to be out covering, to be at. So we must thank our neighbours in Clare for the venue as well. You know, tremendous.
Absolutely thank our neighbours in Clare, because it is an excellent venue. But in the past, Clare have played a lot of senior games there, so you can see why. And I was down pitch side before the game and again after the game, and it had not deteriorated anything whatsoever. It's a very, very good surface. It was as pristine after the game as it was before the game, which is testament to the surface in Tulla. But well done to everybody involved with Tulla. Their facilities are credit to them.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, I think the final point I want to make on that, I was talking to Pater McCarthy afterwards for the radio, and Pater obviously being he's one of the coaches and a teacher in the school, of course, in Skull Pole, and kind of put it to him that I suppose no matter what happens now, maybe in life with friendships and going to college and all the rest of it, I suppose these 30 players or whatever amount exactly is involved, they will have this bond of, do you remember when we won that All Ireland, or you know, that whole journey that they were on? And it's, you know, that's one of the byproducts that maybe you don't think of at the time, but 5, 10, 20 years time, if they bump into each other, you know, in any walk of life, I think it's great that they'll be able to say, well, geez, do you remember that day out in Tulla, or do you remember that you know, such and such game along the way? That's what this has done for those group of players, not to mind their hurling careers or their educational lives as well. It's a nice way to finish off secondary school for some.
Absolutely, Tom. You know, Tulla 2024 is going to be etched in their minds forever. You know, and also, you know, and I didn't mention them there in the three men that were behind it: Anthony Punch, Ed Kiley, and
Pater McCarthy,
Pater, as you were saying. And I was talking to Anthony Punch in particular after the game, and made that very point to him about, you know, they've been hit with the goal and a point early, and been hit with, you know, their lead being whittled back to 2 points going down the home straight. And it was something that they had prepared for and had spoken about. And it will just give you an idea of the amount of effort and work that goes into preparing a team at all levels now. That's just the reality of it. And I suppose, you know, you can take them as a benchmark now if you want to be successful, because certainly they had left nothing to chance. You know, I could understand from Anthony every eventuality was covered, was dealt with, and full marks to him.
Yeah, well, congratulations to all involved there in Skullpole, and indeed those involved in St Mary's and Newport as well. Moving along to the Intercounty hurling front, that was Friday afternoon. It was Saturday afternoon. I was one of the many Limerick folk who made the trip up to Salt Hill, and the weather didn't surprise us. It didn't help us either. But Limerick got the job done. They got the result needed to book their place in the Alliance Hurling League semi-finals. A 17-point each draw with Galway. But Matt, that doesn't tell the story. This was a game that Limerick had to show their grit, maybe not the silky skills of old or maybe of new that we were expecting now. There was certainly plenty of that on show as well. But Limerick had to dig in, down Shane O'Brien through a red card early on. Limerick showed everyone in the country that they are taking this league serious, and that they're not going to be pushed over by anyone, no matter what the occasion.
Yeah, and look, talking about Shane O'Brien, and I think it was harsh with some of the stuff that went on after, and probably was unpunished, or didn't warrant sanction. I think he was probably in hard luck. I've seen it back a couple of times now, but there was such a cluster of players there that it is very, very hard to see anybody making contact with somebody else's helmet. But like whatever sort of a melee was there, that Sean Lehan came out of the melee with his helmet gone anyway, so
yeah.
We just don't know. But I was awfully sorry for Shane O'Brien. It's totally out of character with him, plus the fact that he had made a fantastic start, Tom.
He had, yeah. He's playing at wing forward, of course, this week.
It made a very fantastic start, and that's something in himself and Adam English were really on fire. Like Adam English had a fantastic game, and like he was rightly named man of the match. But Shane O'Brien had started in a way that he may have been challenging him for that. But there were so many, apart from being numerically challenged for 45 minutes. There were so many other positives that we, to take out of it. None more so than the return of our captain Declan Hannon at centre back.
Yeah,
and the type of performance, like he had never been away. And
he's played such little amount of hurling match. I mean, even in the club campaign last year, Adair would have played 5 games. I don't know, did he play maybe 3 of them, 2.5 of them, something like that? He didn't have Fitzgibbon or anything else of that ilk to, like some of the other guys, to keep sharp. He's basically since early June last year has played 3 or 4 club games. I wouldn't think anything more than that. And that's what 9 months ago.
Look, it's testimony to the man, but I don't know why we're having this discussion. Why are we surprised?
No, we're not surprised.
Because
just to emphasize the point, maybe is what I'm doing there in terms of a lesser player might have struggled to find the pitch of it, but certainly Declan didn't.
He seamlessly returned into the team now. And, there was the further boost when you look at the bench.
Yeah.
And Sean Finn ready to return.
Yeah, now I think actually, being at the game, Sean Finn took part in the warm-up, but didn't actually end up in the 26. He was replaced by Ronan Lyons. So I don't think, more as a precaution than anything, I don't think there was any ill feeling that he picked up another knock or anything. It just, maybe with the softer ground, the pitch was very, very heavy. I spoke to a couple of people involved on the day who were on the pitch, and very heavy. So maybe it was a case of, well, we won't risk Sean, and that was probably the wise move. So
of course it was a wise, because he has come such a long and arduous journey like that. Why throw it away for the sake of another week or two? It was the wise thing to do.
30th of April since he left the pitch just before half-time in that Munster, was it round 2 game? So that's 30th of April 2024 isn't far away. That's 11 months effectively.
11 months.
At this point, since he was able to play. But even the bench on top of that, to see William O'Donoghue coming in, winning his customary free or 2 and getting involved in all sorts. Peter Casey, maybe didn't happen for him on the score sheet, but certainly was busy. Obviously, Jeremy Burns, is it 5 points from frees?
5 points.
If the compass had been off, Matt, in the earlier rounds of the league with his long range frees, the compass was certainly pointing directly at goal. On this occasion, I don't think he missed one, and it was a very challenging day. Salthill is a challenging venue for any free taker in any court, you know.
But five long range frees in 35 minutes of hurling, and he pots all five. Can't argue with it.
No, you can't. And then Grode Hegarty comes on, gets a point with the golf swing, the back swing nearly going away from goal from 70 metres, you know, as if he had a gale force wind behind him, which he did not. But that was, they were certainly positives. Now, the inside line probably struggled a bit, Matt, but maybe when you have a man sent off, that's liable to happen. You know,
it's liable to happen, and I'll tell you, taking a broad view of it, Tom, fine result for Limerick in the circumstances, but a very, very disappointing result for Henry Shefflin and Galway.
Yeah,
you know, here they were at home. They had the prize of a place in the league semi-final potentially at the end of the day, and you know, like I think to a certain degree they were wallowing about the sending offs the previous week instead of focusing on the hurling match, because you must remember that Limerick were down about 7 of the All-Ireland team.
Yeah.
So, like it looks as if Galway have a bit of ground to make up, and even now, obviously, Dahi Burke and Conor Whelan will be a big asset to them. But you know, they for 45 minutes they had a numerical advantage. And they couldn't make it count. And at the end, they had to rely on 2 frees from Evan Nyland.
Just to draw again,
And of course, the same Evan Nyland, who was the coach to the Ballygar team, beaten by Skull Paul.
Yeah, we actually didn't even mention that, but credit to him, all right, to be involved even at his young enough age as well to be involved with the schools team. But his Galway, I suppose the trick for Galway compared to Limerick is Galway don't need to be at their sharpest to come out of Leinster. They don't. I think they've Carlow up in one of their first games. Have the Antrim in there as well. I'm trying to think even who's still in the Leinster Championship, but like invariably they're going to finish in the top 3, probably in the top 2, without needing to reach 5th gear. And Limerick for all their success will need to be, you know, near their best for the 4 games in Munster to collect the points needed, because we saw last year Limerick were, despite eventually winning the Munster Championship, were, you know, effectively a puck of the ball away from being out of the whole lot, you know. So Galway have that luxury, I guess, of building up now slowly towards, I would think, the All-Ireland series, whereas the teams in Munster are getting ready for war, effectively, you know. So, but then, nevertheless, I think Henry Shefflin should be concerned that his team couldn't manage it against 14 on their home patch. You know, they were, even when the red card happened, they were 2 or 3 points up. You know, 3 points up at halftime.
They should really be building up momentum now, and I think the stage that Galway are at for the last couple of years, they needed a league semi-final, and they need a bit of silverware.
Yeah,
you see the way that they've lost the Leinster final on 2 occasions recently, and they haven't got their hands on silverware. So certainly Henry Shefflin and Galway, you know, like, why they didn't have the wherewithal to make the extra man count, you know, and to find themselves in a situation going down the home straight, actually in injury time.
They were losing,
They were losing by 2 points.
Yeah. Well, the third quarter was the one that affected them most, because there were 3 up at halftime. If I was a Galway supporter, I'd be thinking, right, let's go 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and put Limerick really under pressure. But they didn't. By the end of the third quarter, I think there was only 2 points in it. Limerick, there basically had been no scores, maybe a point each or something like that.
There was in the 15 minutes after halftime, there was only a point each. Dermot Burns got a free in the 38th minute, as far as I recall. And then around the 45th or 46th minute, Ronan Glennon got a point from play. That was the sum total. Like the first 15 minutes after halftime was a score-free zone. And, you know, it suited Limerick.
It did, yeah. It kept them in the game.
Limerick because, you know, whatever drive you'd be expecting from Galway, you know, to come after halftime, man up, 3 points up at home, you would be expecting something from him, but it didn't happen.
And after that 15 minutes, the cavalry arrived, as we mentioned here already. Obviously Burns was already on, but Graham Mulcahy came in, Peter Casey came in, Gerard Hegarty and probably William O'Donoghue most crucially came in. Limerick.
William O'Donoghue made a huge difference when he came in.
Now, Matt, so looking ahead to Saturday afternoon, another trip down to the banks of the league for the league semi-final. It was the venue for the actual league final last year against Kilkenny. What sort of approach will Limerick take here? I don't think it'll be full bore trying to win it, but I don't think John Kiley wants to lose any games either.
No, you worked hard to get to a semi-final and they're there to be won then, so I think they'll go full board. I think they'll go all out to win it. I don't see any reason why not. It'll be interesting to see what John Kiley's selection will be. I think he will make a number of changes. Now, we didn't see Donegal O'Donnell at all in Salt Hill.
Yeah.
But, I think he has his statement made. Adam English certainly is another that has made a statement. Shane O'Brien, who will have to sit out this one. Now, I think it's a one-match suspension that follows.
Yes.
He's sending off, isn't it?
No more and no less. Yeah, I'd say just the one game. Just be this game.
Just one game. And, Colin Coughlin is Fergal O'Connor. There are a lot of people there put up their hands during the league. Now, we just wonder about Darragh O'Donovan. He's missed the last 2 games through injury. It would be nice to see him back. I think if Darragh's fit, he's likely to start. I think you'd certainly see Declan Hannon starting. Probably Dermot Burns will start. You could see Cathal O'Neill moved into the forwards.
Yeah.
Will Sean Finn start?
Yeah, that's another week.
Is it a bit soon? Fergal O'Connor took a knock.
Well, Fergal O'Connor, the concussion, as too did Mike Casey. So there's 2 potential players. We don't know, obviously, are they concussed enough to miss this game effectively. Colin Coughlin has a groin strain, which, I don't think he'd be risked at this point. So there's probably potentially 3 openings in the back 6 from last week's team. So that's, I suppose Sean Finn comes into the conversation. You'd feel.
Kyle Hayes comes in wing back if he has shaken off his injury. He was injured for the Tipperary game. Is Darragh O'Donovan to come back? From the starting team, we haven't spoken at all about Dan Morrissey.
There's too many options, Matt. We're nearly forgetting players here now. If they're missing for 2 games, Matt, they're in trouble. They're easily forgotten.
Yeah, but I've said umpteen times, I'm not going to try and second guess John Kiley, but I'm just looking at the options that are out there, and there are many. Like Barry Nash back, great. But he may be the only one of the full backline of last week that will start for the reasons that you've outlined. And will there be the temptation to play Sean Finn if Fergal O'Connor isn't fit? And certainly Dan Morrissey would appear to be the replacement if Mike Casey doesn't pass the HIA. And Dermot Burns come in at wing back. Cathal O'Neill move up front.
Cathal O'Neill could still stay there if Coughlin isn't available, or if maybe Kyle Hayes hasn't recovered either. So
if Kyle Hayes hasn't recovered, it could be Cathal moving over to that wing. So David Reedy.
Yeah, Shane O'Brien now obviously suspended, so then you're opening a door then in the forwards as well. So
Gerard Hegarty and
I
don't know who didn't start.
Yeah,
so
Peter Casey maybe as well.
Peter Casey.
Just we're running out, and you said at the very start there, Donegal O'Donnell who comes into the fray. So I tell you, if you asked 1,000 Limerick people, Matt, to name the 15, I tell you get 1,000 different answers at this point, wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And excuse me, John Kiley has the type of headache that every manager in the country would die for.
Yeah. Oh, certainly.
And he has been confronted with this headache now for a good lot of his time at the helm. and he has always managed it spectacularly. So I would have no doubt that he'll do it again. Now, from a Kilkenny point of view,
Yeah.
at this stage, they must be sickened to the teeth of the sight of the Limerick jersey.
It's
Like if you lose 3 major finals to the one team in less than 18 months, you know, you lose the 2022 All-Ireland final, 2023 league, 2023 All-Ireland final, and the margin seems to be getting greater. You know,
Yeah, I think it is, yeah.
you're beginning to ask yourself questions. So Derek Ling will be desperately wanting. He will desperately want to get a win over Limerick and exercise the pathetic showing that they had in the league final last year. But a bit of a beacon for Kilkenny is that they have already won in Cork this year. They beat Cork in the second round of the league at Páirc Uí Rinn. Páirc Uí Chaoimh. So
super value in Páirc Uí Chaoimh now, Matt. Come on.
Super value, yeah. Super value Páirc Uí Chaoimh. But we, you know, so they, you know, it's very, very hard to call. It's very, very hard to call because look, taking an overview of the whole thing, you have a potential of Limerick beating Kilkenny and Clare beating Tip. And you have Limerick and Clare meeting in a league final. And then a couple of weeks later meeting in the Munster Championship.
Yeah.
Now, I know when it happened before, but it was prearranged that if the teams that reached the league final met in the championship, that it would be doubled up. I think there'll be no question of that should this happen.
No, that was a COVID thing. I don't think
Allianz COVID provision. Yeah.
Allianz as the league sponsors would be, I'd say, well within their rights to question that if that even was entering in the conversation. So
no. So you have potentially 2 huge games with Clare.
Yeah.
You know? Do Limerick want 2 huge games with Clare? Do Clare want 2 huge games with Limerick?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I think part of me thinks that in the other game, which is Clare and Tipperary, for anyone not aware, that's in Portlaoise, isn't it? Part of me thinks with that, the Tipperary, you know, the way Liam Cahill is now, I suppose he won the league with Waterford a few years ago and it kind of blew up in his face afterwards. But I think he'd be happy with his own native county to really go after the league and try and win it. And as well, the Munster Championship fixtures, Tipperary aren't playing in round 1. So all this, you know, get a bit of a break in there. I think they'd have 3 weeks between the league final and is it Limerick? I think even in round 2 for them.
Round 2 for Limerick, round 1 for them. You know.
Yeah. So I think there's merit in saying that Tipperary will, you know, put out close to what they have available to them and really go after it. Now that doesn't mean they're going to beat Clare, of course, but I think, you know, maybe Tipperary are the more likely to come through in that opinion, in my opinion there. Maybe Brian Lohan, though, might be feeling the heat. He hasn't put silverware for all their good form. He hasn't put silverware on the table in any shape or form in his, is this his 5th season now, I think, in charge. I think it was COVID, 2020 was the first one. So yeah, it is his 5th, or his, sorry, what's that? That is his 5th season, isn't it? Yeah, so like, I don't know. I think maybe he needs it too. Just obviously John Kiley doesn't need to win this, but John Kiley likes winning. Limerick like winning. So yeah, it's very hard to know what way the teams will be selected for all 4. You know, but
it's going to be difficult because like the permutations that are there, and I think Tipperary needs silverware. They haven't got national silverware since 2019 when they got the All-Ireland final.
Yeah.
Questionable, would they have got the All-Ireland final had Limerick got a late 65, which they were entitled to?
Yeah.
You know, so like you have Clare and Tipperary, you have 2 teams that badly need silverware because Clare have been so tantalizingly close in the last 2 Munster finals. You know, it's hugely important for the development of the Clare team and indeed the Tipperary team at the moment to get their hands on silverware.
Yeah.
Hugely important. And like that is going to be a cracker of a game in Portlaoise on Sunday. But that's no concern to us. We are concerned with the men in green, and what Kilkenny will present. Kilkenny will present a tough challenge, but Kilkenny were quite lucky to get out of Walsh Park last Sunday with a win. And hadn't they got out, we would have been playing Cork, as far as I know.
I think you're right to say that. Yeah.
Because Cork would have been on 6 points, Wexford would have been on 5, and had Waterford beaten Kilkenny, Kilkenny would have been on 5. Had Waterford and Kilkenny drew, Kilkenny would have had the head-to-head on Cork.
Yeah.
But had Cork won, Kilkenny lost, we would have been playing Cork. They were quite near it now.
Yeah,
because they only drove on in the last 10 minutes.
Yeah, and maybe more that Waterford had another second half to forget, maybe, and that allowed Kilkenny to get over the line as a bit. They've struggled, it seems,
There was a bit of it now that Waterford got 2 goals of a very fortuitous nature, of 2 type of goals that came as a result of un-Kilkenny defending. Kilkenny-like defending.
And for long spells then, yeah.
They did, and Waterford sort of got oxygen out of that and lived on it. But when push came to shove in the second half, Kilkenny drove on and caught up with them and won by 3 points going down the home straight. But where Kilkenny are at, I don't know.
Yeah. Just looking at the fixtures, in terms of, there's all this talk, I suppose, of the lead-in times. Kilkenny's first game is at home to Antrim in the Leinster Championship. So, with the greatest respect to Antrim, I don't think Kilkenny will be overly worried about it. Now, round 2 for them is against Galway, which would be of maybe of more grave concern. But I even think that regardless of if they lose that, they'll probably end up in the Leinster final, or certainly in the top 3 in Leinster, barring losing that and slipping up elsewhere. But maybe I'll be proven wrong by that. But I think the Tipperary scenario of they'll have a full month off, Matt. Basically, they'll have 4 weeks off after a league final. So I think there's merit in Tipperary going after this. But anyway, look, that's not of our concern. Maybe we're looking at it next week. A Limerick Tipperary final, or maybe I've eaten my words and the other 2 will come out of it. But
it all adds up to Tipperary being a dangerous animal when Limerick meet him in the second round.
Yeah, certainly it does indeed. Yeah, but Matt, you'd be confident enough that no matter the 15 for Limerick, they're gonna go for this. They're gonna try and continue this winning streak. Certainly since they lost to Clare nearly a year ago, they've only 1 draw, and they've won everything else in sight, games wise, and obviously starting 2024 in that vein as well. So I think we'll be hopefully looking at a back-to-back league finals for Limerick come Saturday evening. Yeah,
I would be honestly disappointed, I'd have to say now, because I saw Kilkenny, albeit on the League Sunday, and certainly wasn't convinced by what is nothing more than snapshots and cameos,
Yes, yeah.
But I'd be pretty confident that Limerick will get over the line against Kilkenny, irrespective of what 15 John Kiley puts out.
Yeah, but I think such is the competition in the team anyway, that there'll be no complacency from anyone. I think everyone is out to put their hand up, because the team may evolve a bit this year as things go on. Matt, before we finish the hurling chat, I think you were in Kilmallock last Friday evening for a celebration which you touched on.
I was in Bulgadin Castle.
Bulgadin, just outside Kilmallock, I should say. Yeah.
For the celebration of the Kilmallock 3 in a row. Kilmallock won the county senior hurling championship in 1973, 74, and 75, and they had a fantastic team at the time, and Mossy Dowling was the only one from Kilmallock on the Limerick team at the time, and Mossy captained, after winning his All-Ireland, captained Kilmallock to win the county that year. Tony Maloney captained them in 74, and Dom Hayes captained them in 1975. But it was a night of nostalgia, because There were about, I think it's 5 that are no longer with us, that have passed to their eternal reward, and they were represented on the night. There was a couple of more unavoidably absent, but it was a fantastic night, fantastically, extremely well organised. And there was a PowerPoint running right through the night, which was produced by Joe Nocton, and I'll talk about Joe Nocton in a minute. And it was presented by Tommy Mulcahy. Now, Tom is the dad of Graham. Now, they made a presentation early in the night. Up to 2018, Kilmallock had only one All-Ireland senior medal winner, Mossy Dowley, and one All-Ireland medal. Now they have 9 All-Ireland medal winners and 23 All-Ireland medals. So they honoured the 9 medal winners. Now Barry Hennessy and Graham Mulcahy were unavailable on the night, but John Kiley came along and made a very suitable presentation to the 7 that were present and to the representatives of the other 2. And then there were presentations to the officers of the time of 1973, 74, 75, the late Tom Maloney, the late Ned Fitzgerald, the late Denny McCarthy, and also to John Dowling, who happily is still with us. And there was a special presentation also to remember William O'Brien. Willie O'Brien was a member of the Defence Forces. He was a legendary trainer who trained and coached Kilmallock to 6 county senior titles in 60, 67, 73, 74, 75 and 85. He also trained them to 4 county minor titles and 3 juvenile titles. And there was a presentation made, and it was accepted on his behalf by his son-in-law, Eamon Dowling. And then there was the presentation to the players. And it was extremely well organised, extremely well supported, very, very big crowd there. There was a presentation to Mike O'Riordan, the county secretary. As you know, Mike is Kilmallock clubman, Kilmallock. And, in recognition of his contribution over the last decade as county secretary, there was a presentation also made to John Kiley on behalf of the Kilmallock GA Club. But the last presentation of the evening I thought it was very, very fitting and very, very appropriate. Joe Nocton was inducted into the Hall of Fame, the Kilmallock GA Hall of Fame. Now, Joe, his contribution to Kilmallock over the years is phenomenal, Tom. And I'll give you a sense of the longevity of his contribution. He was a member of the Kilmallock team that won the first county title in 1960. So, that is not today or yesterday, but he was the baby of the team at the time. But his contribution to Kilmallock over the years, he's been living in Limerick since, but, whenever there's anything in Kilmallock GA, Joe is there. And it was very fitting that he was inducted into the Hall of Fame and made a suitable presentation, because he had quite a bit of involvement with the GA club officers and the special committee that organised the night. He was really, really involved in it. And as I said, he produced the PowerPoint that was presented by Tommy Mulcahy. Fantastic night of nostalgia. I've no doubt, old stories and what have you on occasions like those. But it was very, very special. And I suppose it was celebrated in the middle year, 74. It's 50 years this year since they got the second. So, very, very, and interestingly, one of the players that was missing on the night that couldn't turn up was Mike Carroll, who Mike was a member of the team in 73, 74 and 75. He is now the president of the Munster Rugby. And he was tied up with the Ireland-Scotland game on Friday night and was unable to attend. It's just another side, to...
Yeah. Very good. Yeah. Well, congrats to all involved and what sounds like a tremendous evening. And indeed, congrats to the club. I suppose we must commend them for marking the 9 All Ireland winners, and indeed those heroes of their 3 in a row. And as you said last week, Matt, not an easy feat to complete in any senior championship, and that's, I think it's only been done 3 times since in Limerick. So, it certainly deserved recognition. You were looking at the next generation, Matt, a day earlier, last Thursday, I believe, in Doon. You were out photo hunting, Matt. You were looking for photos with some of the stars of the future, the youngsters of Doon, of course, but also an Offaly man by the name of Adam Screeney, who you said to me before we started, you couldn't, because he's his diminutive nature, you could mistake him for an under 17 hurler, even though he's gone beyond that now a couple of years. But a gentleman and another enjoyable evening, I'm sure, this time in the east of the county.
Yeah, Tom, you were telling me off air you had the pleasure of meeting him yourself in Ballybrown, and what a well-rounded young man, absolutely. And of course, his reputation as a hurler had preceded him, and on the night he was accompanied by our own Richie English, and Richie needs no introduction in Doon or indeed in any part of the county. For the huge contribution that he has made to Limerick. But it was a lovely evening. We had a bit of a panel discussion with the 2 lads, and then there was the presentation of the medals to the under-13s. The 2 lads presented them, and Tom Murphy, who was manager, he called up the under-13 players, and Paddy Coleman, who managed the under-17s to league and championship double, he called up the under 17 players. But overall, it was a very, very enjoyable night, and certainly it's just absolutely fantastic, I think, Tom, when you see players like Rich English and Adam Screeney giving of their time for young people.
Yeah,
it's just absolutely fantastic.
I'd say
because,
particularly,
the schedule of a inter-county player at the moment, like, it's really, really challenging and taxing. But these guys that can find the time to come down to Doon or any place like that, for now Richie was at home, but to honour underage hurling or underage sports people, it's just simply fantastic. I'm in awe of people like that.
Yeah, and I think what it'll do, particularly maybe for the under-13s, to meet Adam Screeney, to shake his hand, you don't know what that will do for a younger player, even off the field of play, to say that they got to walk along the side the some of the greats currently of the game. So I think there's certainly merit in clubs putting out the stops for such events as the years go on. But 2 enjoyable evenings, Matt. You're showing no sign of relenting or getting all around the county. But I'm
afraid I am, Tom.
Nevertheless, we'll move along to the football matters. I did mention at the top of the piece, unfortunately disappointing. You were heading your hands there, Matt. A disappointing afternoon on Saturday afternoon. It was not long after the hurling game had concluded that we were learning that Limerick were defeated by Wicklow 9 points to 8 in Ockram. Sounded like a bit of a slugfest of a game. 6 points to 2 down at halftime. Limerick made a bit of a revival, but couldn't get the draw or indeed win that would have certainly prolonged their stay in Division 3 for another week at least. But we probably spoke, unfortunately, of relegation a long way out, Matt. Not to say we were being pragmatic or whatnot, but it hasn't been a good year. There's no getting away from that. It's disappointing to see the team back down in Division 4.
It is, and at the risk of being accused of treachery almost, we did point it a couple of weeks ago, and I'll make the same point now at the risk of being repetitive, that what is needed in Limerick football at the moment, because of there's such a turnover of players, and I'm not going to rehash that old argument, is patience. And, I did say a couple of weeks ago that it wouldn't be the greatest disaster on earth if Limerick were to go down and have to start again. And I stick with that. Now, last Saturday in Auckland, Jimmy Lee, and boosts for him were few and far between up to now in terms of personnel coming back. He welcomed back 2 players, Josh Ryan, was back after a long injury. And it was a leap of faith on the part of Jimmy and his management team to place Josh Ryan in goals. Now, to a certain degree, he repaid his faith because he kicked 4 of Limerick's 8 points from long-range frees. So, and of course, Josh, as all goalkeepers do, Tom, will point out that he kept a clean sheet.
Yes, indeed. Well, I suppose,
which he did, So, it'll be interesting to see, will the experiment of playing Josh in goals continue on Tullamore next Sunday?
Yeah. I suppose
there was the return to the bench of Danny Neville.
He played the last 10 minutes or so, 15 minutes.
Yeah,
maybe.
he did. After being out for 3 years, and I would rate Danny Neville very, very highly. It's going to take him a bit of time to get accustomed to his surroundings again. He'll be getting accustomed to a new management. He'll be getting accustomed to a lot of new players. But I wouldn't be surprised at all if you saw Danny starting in Tullamore.
Yeah, I think
which would be a big boost. And if you have these 2 guys coming back, and hopefully that there'll be a couple of more on the way back as well, all is not lost. Yes, we've lost our Division 3 status, but if you can build something, to take you into 2025, it may be a short stay in Division 4.
Yeah. I suppose it's relegation is not. It's not back-to-back relegations is not good for Limerick. Not a good look, I suppose. But you must remember, we're not too far removed, Matt, from being in Division 4. It's not like. It's not like Man City getting relegated out of the Premier League or something where it's a big shock to the system. This has happened before, and Limerick have recovered. It was only 2020 when Limerick won the division, wasn't it? So you're only talking 3.5 years ago since Limerick won Division 4. So it's just, they've gone up. They went up to Division 3, stayed there, and went up again, and now they've come back down quickly enough, down to 2 rungs. So look, it's. I think.
Just to take the point there that you gave me in the opening, Manchester City can't go down off the Premiership if they have 115 charges and there is nothing being done about it.
I hit the nerve with the Everton fan here this evening.
You know where I'm coming from on that.
Yeah, but I suppose my point was that, it's not the greatest surprise in the world. Limerick football has had its ups and had its downs down through the years, so it's. It's disappointing, but it shouldn't be. I suppose it shouldn't. Nothing needs to be ripped up here. We've come back from this before. It's not like, as I say, maybe to use a GA analogy, it's not like if Kilkenny were relegated out of Division 1 in the hurling league or something that you say, what in God's name is going wrong there? This has happened before, and a lot of counties have been yo-yoing up and down through the divisions. It's not a new issue. But,
I would say, Tom, that the Alliance Football League is organised in such a way that for the most part, all counties are playing at their own level at a given time.
Yeah. Certainly, yeah.
And that's why you have the yo-yo roller coaster nature of it.
Yeah.
And
the teams in Division, but the teams in Division 2 and Division 3, which is the divisions Limerick have been in last year, 50% of those divisions change every year. 2 will go up and 2 will go down. So before a ball is kicked, there's probably, you would say in a way, there's probably a 50% chance you're going to move division, Obviously Limerick maybe were surprised to get out of Division 3. Maybe that was, they were punching a bit above their weight, and obviously the byproduct of that then was that, they got onto a bit of a losing sequence and they haven't been able to slow that down, It's hindsight would be 2020, said, geez, we should have stayed in Division 3, but you take your chance while it's there. And in fairness to Billy, who got the team to the league final, they wanted to try and win that league final and invariably didn't. But
the irony of it now, Tom, is that by virtue of that win over Limerick, Wicklow could survive.
But
here is the blueprint for Wicklow's survival.
Yeah.
Limerick beat Offaly. and Wicklow beat Antrim.
Mm.
And Wicklow will have the head-to-head in Antrim, and Antrim will go down with Limerick.
Yeah. That's the blueprint, all right. But I suppose in one way, because they beat Limerick, they've taken the sting out of Limerick, and Limerick players are only human. You know, I'm sure they will endeavour to beat Offaly, but I suppose Limerick now have nothing effectively on the game bar pride, which I'm sure they've plenty of. But you know, it's kind of
but
good chance Wicklow will go down with them.
The game against Cork isn't a million years away.
Yeah,
you know. It's just around the corner, and you want to be at your best, and you want to put your best foot forward in the championship. And I think Limerick will be, going helter-skelter. Like, the pressure is off in Tullamore. Why not give it a rattle?
Yeah, definitely. I think Limerick were relegated before the last round last year against, was it Clare? And they pushed Clare fairly close along the way. But invariably, I think, lost that one as well. But Matt, I suppose greener shoots for the under-20s. That was Friday evening in Feather Town Park, a fine facility, if I must say, to Mr. Magner, who has helped develop that. The AstroTurf there. Limerick getting out with a draw against Tipperary, 2-6 for Tipperary, 12 points for Limerick. Now, I know you didn't see the game, but a good result, I think, for Limerick in one way. Now, I'm sure people will look back 3 years to minor, and Limerick were Munster finalists, but that's not how it works, as we know. It doesn't equate across. But I think Shane Kelly was overall pleased with his side performance. They played good front foot football at times. Tipperary sat back, but I suppose Limerick will look. They'll be looking to finish in the top two in this group, Matt, which we mentioned last week is the target. And a draw against Tipperary, it's not the worst start.
No, it's not the worst start. And as you said, people will be looking back. And I suppose, it's not an exact science. It's actually far from an exact science. Looking back to see how did they do as minors. So much can happen in the meantime. But I think a draw is a good result for the simple reason that Limerick have their remaining 2 games at home.
Yeah.
Against Waterford next Saturday. And that was originally fixed for Mick Neville Park. And it is now changed to Paddy Carroll Park in Ballygran at 2:00. Yeah. So I would be expecting that Limerick would get back to winning ways. Now, there was an expectation that we should have it over Tipperary last week. Tipperary had 10 of the players that started in last year's Munster Championship. Well, sorry, that were in the match day squad in the Munster Championship last year, which was a knockout then,
Yeah.
Now, Waterford have a fair turnover of players as well, but we have an awful lot of players that played in last year's Munster semi-final against Cork.
Yeah.
And we have some very, very strong players and some very good players with potential players that Jimmy Lee is looking at. And that definitely have a future in the game. I'm thinking about the Aaron Nevilles of this world, the Emmett Richters, the Dara Murrays, these people who have already been involved with the Limerick senior squad.
Yeah,
I'm expecting Limerick to get a win on Saturday, and who knows? Waterford have already lost to Clare. Now it was on in Limmy Bryan last Saturday. Was a tight enough game by all accounts, Tom.
I think it was a 13
points to 6 or 7.
6, yeah, sorry, in the end, yeah.
Yeah, so like I'm expecting that we'll beat Waterford, and it'll be interesting to see how Clare and Tipperary play, how they fare out. That'll give us an indicator for the following week. Like it's a crash course of under-20 football. It's week for the group phase, and I think we go straight into semi-finals or quarter-finals then, Tom. You're more au fait with the science of the under-20 format than I am, but lo and behold, you're right, we have a B final, we have a backstop.
Yeah, well, Limerick have at least 3 more games, and hopefully they have many more than that, but the aim here, without going into the detail as I did last week, the aim here is top 2. So beat Waterford and beat or draw with Clare, I would imagine, and Limerick will be well positioned, I would think, to come in to finish in the top 2. Just to look at the team, you mentioned a couple of the names there. Aaron Neville was the team captain at centre back. I thought he had a fine game. Emmett Richter Kicked a couple of early scores as well, and had a good overall outing. And it's good to see. This is just before the seniors probably needed Emmett, and they decided, you know what, he'll play at his own age group. The 20s need him probably. There's a bit of long-term thinking there out of Jimmy, and Jimmy was at the match I met him in the stand. He could have very selfishly told his clubman, Shane Kelly, that I want our other clubman, Emmett Richter, to play senior, stand him down from the 20s, and he'd impacted the 20s, and Limerick could have probably lost the game without Emmett Richter, and what would that have done? Whereas Jimmy was thinking bigger picture, and I think that's very admirable. But just looking at some of the other names,
agree totally.
Ronan Quirk, he would have been playing last year at Water Casey's, 5 points on the evening. One of them free in the first half, I think 4 from play in the second half, and it was a bit of a throwback. He stood in at the edge of the square in the second half, and Limerick delivered ball into him, just in front of him, took it on the hop, left and right, kicking points, and was just had the Tipperary defence in knots. I think there's certainly a player there that to get excited about, and look, and I'm not trying to single out these players, that they're still youngsters as well. But
no, we're only saying it as we see it, Tom.
Yeah. No, he had a fine evening. But even Shane Cross alongside him, wearing 15. I'd love to see if there was GPS on this fella. I think Shane Kelly used that phrase to me after. This guy was everywhere. I think he must have covered, I would say every blade, but every artificial blade of grass in Feathertown Park. Just tremendous to see. And look, there was bright shoots all over the pitch. The 2 goals were circle punches, really. The first one early in the game, I think the Tipperary player was going for a point, dropped it into the top corner, and then the second one just after half time. So something to work on there. Slow to start both halves, Limerick. So, on another night they could have won this game. But look, I think in the end, they were definitely deserved to pick up something, and they did that. But yeah, I'd be confident now they can pick up a win against Waterford, and look, we'll see what happens between the Clare and Tipperary game, and we could be going into round 3 looking to book a place in the top 2, and that would mean we get to have a go off Cork and Kerry, which is exactly what you want. You want to play everyone in the province.
Absolutely, and I'm convinced, Tom, and I was studying it during the week, studying the reports of the Tipperary match and the Waterford match, and looking at where we're likely to match fare up against Waterford, and I'm convinced we're capable of beating Waterford, and that we're all hanged in on the Limerick Clare game in the final round, which at the moment is fixed for McNeville Park the following weekend.
Yeah. Well, I think he can probably end up in Ballygran as well, but we'll have that for you next week, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But that's I suppose we've had a lot of negativity around Limerick football. I think it's fair to say for the last few months we've been struggling for positivity, but I think the 20s have certainly given us that this week, and hopefully we'll be looking at a first win for them on Saturday afternoon, and more bright sparks for them into the spring. Matt, the ladies football now, they've had a successful campaign, I suppose, in some ways so far. The aim was to get into the top 4. They did that. The result now is a meeting with Leitrim in the semi-final in Patrick Pearse's in Roscommon this Sunday. I think it's a 1 p.m. throw-in. How are we feeling about this one? They've met Leitrim already, so what's the sense of it coming into the last 4 clash?
Yeah, look, Tom, I'm optimistic. I saw the girls. I think I saw 5 of their games, they drew with Wicklow the first day. It was 2 points lost, no question about it. I was terribly worried, and I said it to you actually on this medium, that the games against Derry and Kilkenny, that they didn't rack up sufficient scores. But at the end, it didn't matter, because they got the win, and then they drew with Longford, and then they lost to Leitrim 2-11 to 1-7 in Ballinamore, and then they lost at home to Fermanagh in McNeville Park very narrowly, and then beat Carlow inside in TUS Midwest. They were lucky to get over Carlow to a certain degree. At half-time, it didn't look great, and they were facing the breeze in the second half, but put in a tremendous second half. It was, without a question, the best half that I've seen Limerick playing this year. And like, if that's an omen going to Pierce, it's Father Pierce's or Brother Pierce's,
Drummond,
Padraig Pierce's.
Padraig Pierce's, sorry. You forget.
Padraig Pierce's. I understand that club is near Ballinasloe.
Yeah, but they play in Roscommon. The Roscommon club, but just
it's a Roscommon club. It's a Roscommon club, but I'm not 100% sure as to where it is, but and I made my point about it being in Roscommon at all last week, so I'm not going to go there this week. I think we've a decent chance. Early in the league, we were down a lot. We're down Roisin Ambrose. Now, she was Munster Ladies Footballer of the Year last year. We were down Cathy Mee, an All-Ireland winning captain. We were down Yvonne Lee. We were down Alva Quaid in the first couple of games. So, you lose 4 players of that calibre. Now, as the league progressed, I thought that the management team made 2 significant changes, and we're great at highlighting changes that do not work. But these were certainly 2 changes that did work and worked very satisfactorily. And I thought the placing of Cathy Mee at centre back was a huge leap of faith, and it was a big step to take, because there was a certain element of robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Yeah.
So see, Laura Walsh, who was centre back last year, has gone abroad and left big boots to be filled. So, but eventually, after jockeying around, the lads came up with the idea of Cathy Mee, and it certainly has worked. But a move that has worked a treat is the moving of Debbie Murphy from wing forward to centre forward. Now, she may be diminutive, but by God, is she some player? Absolutely. She's been absolutely outstanding since she's gone up there. Now, she would have been classified as an attacking halfback, in the past. She has that instinct to go forward. So this really suits her. And she has a telepathy with Karen O'Leary, and that they are capable of worrying defences. Now, Leitrim would have a very strong attack, Tom. A very, very strong attack. But do you know that in the 7 games in the league, Limerick conceded 62 points. Fermanagh, who topped the table, conceded 69. So that will give you an idea that defensively we have little or no worries.
Yeah.
But attacking wise and making possession, and good approach work, count. We lack finishers.
Was the biggest total?
There is where Cathy is a loss. But we registered our best score of the league in the last game against Carlow, which is significant. We scored 111.
Yeah. Was Limerick's biggest, I suppose, concession, was that against Leitrim? I know it's kind of...
It was.
Yeah.
It was against Leitrim.
So Leitrim obviously have shown that they can hurt Limerick maybe, but maybe now Limerick have changed their tune in terms of, as you say, Cathy Mee being there.
They have seriously good forwards. Michelle Gucky and Vivian Egan. There are 2 other girls there. They're extremely good forwards, but no doubt Limerick will have learned.
Yeah.
And we're on neutral territory now in so far as how much neutral territory counts. But I'm hopeful that that Limerick are going to really put it up to Leitrim.
Yeah,
I think I think Limerick will really. I may have egg in my face, but I really think that they're going to put it up, because their best performance, their best half of the year in the 7 games, in my view, was against Carlow in the second half, and that was the half that they needed it most, because failing to beat Carlow would have seen them out of the league.
Yeah. No, I think that's a positive that they're starting to find their form when it matters most.
You must remember there was a new management team coming in as well. Now, I know they were part of the old management team, but Sean, Kylie and Mike Willigan, who, they were part of Graham Shine's backroom team. They've stepped up, and when you put on the Bannister's bib, Tom,
Different ball game, yeah.
It's a different ball game. It's a different responsibility, and but I think the lads and their management team are working quite well. Look, I think they're going in the right direction, Tom.
Yeah, that's right.
Whether they're going in the right direction fast enough to beat Leitrim, I can't answer it.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
We'll see, and this will be a chance for them to benchmark themselves before the championship.
Yeah, definitely.
And let's hope they'll benchmark themselves by getting to the final.
Yeah, you mentioned going in one direction. Of course, if they win, they're going to be promoted. I'm believe the two finalists are promoted. So,
yes, that's correct. That's the extra carrot this year.
Yeah, in a way, this is potentially a bigger game if you see my logic. To get up to Division 3. Obviously silverware then would be on the line in the final, but it would be nice to get up and out of the division. That Limerick have, I suppose, spent far too many years in and out of really, more in than out really. So it would be nice to have a taste of Division 3, and then obviously a crack off for Mana or Carlow in the final. So best wishes to the ladies on Sunday afternoon, 1 p.m. in Padraig Pearse's GA. Just looking at a map there, Matt, you're right. It's just outside Ballinasloe, but inside the bounds of Roscommon. So not the worst trip in the world, but certainly would have liked it a little bit closer to us here on Shannon side. But that's the ladies football for the weekend ahead. Matt, the Camogie side, the senior side that is, are back in action. We'll touch on the junior side who are into a final now in a second, but the senior side, they trying to right the wrongs, I suppose, of what we're looking at 10 days ago now since they were beaten for the first time this year. Wins over Kerry and then down and lost to Dublin. So they're off on the road to Antrim this Saturday afternoon, 2 p.m, where I think we're still waiting a venue at this point. But a big game for Limerick, chance to bounce back and a need to pick up these points to try and get out of the division.
Yeah, very, very important, and I'm going to keep repeating it. I'm going to keep repeating it, Tom. I don't mind. Like here we are on Wednesday evening. And we don't know we don't know where Limerick are playing Antrim.
Yeah.
And I learned about 10 minutes before we came on air that where the juniors are playing. Right. Absolute absurd disgrace. Absolute disgrace.
Mm.
No, but let's face it, we have to beat Antrim.
Yeah.
We just to give listeners and viewers the
lay of the land,
the background to it. Limerick beat Kerry comprehensively, beat Down comprehensively, and lost to Dublin in the third round. Now there was mitigating circumstances in that Limerick played against a very strong breeze in the first half. Dublin built up a lead. Limerick were unable to claw it back. They face an Antrim team that beat Down in the first round. Wait for it. Lost in the second round to Wexford 12-10 to 4 points. And beat Kerry in the third round. So you wonder where are Antrim at. Now, there was considerable discontent and unrest behind the scenes in Antrim. But maybe that trimming or trouncing, I don't know what you'd call it when you're beaten by 50 points.
Annihilation.
What have you for it, Tom?
Annihilation. I don't know.
Annihilation. That's probably
all of the above, I'd say, Matt. All of the above.
It might have focused minds in Antrim to get it together now. We owe Antrim one, because we owe them a couple, actually, because they beat us in the league quite comfortably last year in McNeville Park. And of course, we won't forget that they beat us in the All-Ireland Minor Shield final in Nolan Park as well. So, like, in terms of the league and in terms of promotion, it's a must-win game for Limerick. Now, the pressure is off for both sides, for the simple reason that both sides do not have relegation worries, because both are on 4 points. Kerry and Down are on no points, and Kerry and Down have to meet, and there's only one being relegated. So mathematically, that puts. So Limerick can give it a right good go, which I think they will. They will have learned from the Dublin game, and beat Antrim, and we've Wexford at home the following week, and were we to beat Wexford, by my calculations, we're in the league final.
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah, that would be it. So can't be beaten, and if they get 4 wins from 5, I wouldn't think.
Unless scoring difference comes in where we can touch Wexford on that.
Yeah, that's
but
true.
we would have a distinct advantage over Dublin in terms of our meetings with Kerry. We beat Kerry substantially more than Dublin beat them.
Yeah, Limerick put nearly 30 points.
Very
Limerick
well come down to the difference with Down,
Yeah, Limerick put 20 points in both of those teams, so I think they're well placed in that regard. But I suppose the crux of it is they have to do the hard bit first in terms of beating Antrim and then Wexford for that to come into play.
But look, I think Joe Quaid would probably want it no other way in terms of the development of his team. Going out and beating Kerry by 20 points, going out and beating Down by 20 points, what are you learning?
Yeah.
We're into the real meaty business of the league now.
Yeah.
And we're alive in the league. We've something to play for. We've a possibility that we can make a league final, and possibility that we could be promoted to 1A.
Yeah.
All on the table, Tom.
Mm-hmm. All in their own hands.
Would be off the table were we to, and in our own hands, would be off the table were we to lose to Antrim, which I don't think we will.
Yeah, well, we'll see where that game ends up somewhere in Antrim. And obviously, we must remind everyone that we're not having a go at Limerick Camogie, so not in their hands.
No, not in Limerick Camogie are as much in the dark as we are, because in fairness to Limerick Camogie, the minute the fixtures become available, they acquaint us without delay.
Yeah, onto social media, and even us in the media get an email as well, very promptly, in fairness to Emer and the rest of the board there. But I think
Emer is doing a fantastic job, but it's a weekly thing, trying to, it's like trying to get blood out of a turnip. I don't know, Look, Tom, don't be annoying me. Please move on.
All right. Well, you've always said you're saying it. My say on it, right? If I can say, and I don't even expect you to reply to this, is very simple. The GA clubs up and down the country, and I say GA because invariably they own the facilities. They have the rights and the facilities, and the county boards in terms of GA county boards. They need to have a look at themselves now. If they want integration, maybe they don't want it, but they're trying to alienate half their population in their county if they're going to say that Camogie can't be played here. Some of these pitches will host challenge games in the worst of weather, but if they're not going to host a competitive Camogie game and open their gates, well, I think they're living in the dark ages, to be honest with you. So I think a lot of them will want to take a look at themselves. It's the same counties over and over again that don't have venues. We've seen that time and again. It's in fairness to Limerick, McNeville Park was made available, and then Kilmallock, when that became unplayable for Limerick's home game, and I'm sure there will be a venue for Limerick versus Wexford agreed in good time. I hope anyway. But anyway, that's my 2 cents in it. But more importantly, Matt, a venue has been confirmed for a national final, a Division 3B final. Limerick versus Dublin. Limerick's junior team, Limerick's second string, whichever way you want to dress it up. They're in the RAG this Saturday, 1 p.m. start, I believe. We probably could have called this a long way out, Matt, that these were the 2 strongest teams in it. Dublin got the better of Limerick by a point in a round 1, but since then Limerick have recovered with wins over, wasn't it, Antrim, Down
down twice in the semi-final.
Yeah, exactly. And
good. I think we predicted this from the outset, Tom, and of course it's all set up very nicely for Saturday evening at 1:00, because they met in the first round in Blanchardstown and in Dublin, and Dublin won 114-37, a single point. So it is all set up now, and David Geady's side have been very, very impressive since. they had a huge win over Down, and that was in Cappamore, and then they travelled to Antrim, had a huge win again, and a huge win again last Saturday over Down. As I explained the structure of the competition, like it's for the second teams of counties, and basically the group stage was nothing more than a seeding process, and Limerick are through to the final, and I think they're in with a very, very good chance. If there's only a point between them, Tom, the first day, and Dublin had home advantage. It's now in the rag, which is Tipperary's Camogie grounds, and it's right adjacent to to the Drum and Inch GA club in the rag there, just a couple of miles outside Thurles. So I'd be very hopeful that the good work that David Deedy and his management team have done over the last 2 years since they took over will bear the first bit of fruit in the form of some silverware on Saturday evening. Wish the girls the very, very best of luck.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and now you're bemoaning a lack of a venue, but in fairness, we just about got this one in time for this one. But the rag
just before we came on air, shortly before we came on air.
We didn't hold our breath for it, but it has come in. There's also, Matt, you were just going to update as well on the under 16A and indeed the minors. The 16A, I think, were in action last weekend, and the minors back out on it, out on the field of play this weekend coming.
The minors are out on Sunday in round 3 of the minor championship. I have some abortive attempts made to determine the format of the minor championship without success. I have gleaned that there are 8 counties in it. I don't know if they're all in one group or they're in 2 groups of 4. If they're in 2 groups of 4, Limerick beat Offaly and they'll be top of the table. But if they're in one group of 8, they'll have four more games.
This was true.
I just don't know. I don't know. You won't be surprised to find out that there's no venue yet for the minor game, other than that Limerick travel to Offaly, and they travel in good shape for the simple reason they have beaten Clare and Whitegate, they have beaten Roscommon in Maguire's Field, and they face an Offaly team who won in Roscommon by a single point, but were beaten at home by Clare. So I'd be very, very hopeful that Limerick can make it 3 wins out of 3. I saw Limerick and Offaly last year in the first round, and it was a most desperate one-sided game. I think this is from memory now, Tom. I think it ended 3-14 to 4 points in Kilmallock. But it was very, very one-sided. So I will endeavour to find out where the win will take them. We may be in a semi-final on Sunday evening. I just don't honestly know. I've searched the website. It's a no-go area for minor anyway. They have a few results up in it, but no tables or anything like that. So
disappointing. That's the National Camogie website. Matt referring to as well.
Oh yeah, no. Again, Limerick Camogie, are absolutely fantastic. Emer Kenny is doing an absolutely fantastic job when it comes to getting information. But she's having the same problem with getting the information that we have. Yeah. Also, there was a notable win for the under 16As last week. They beat Tipperary in the quarterfinal of the Munster Championship, and you must remember that Limerick are the defending Munster champions. Yeah. They beat Cork in the Munster final last year. They beat Tipperary in the semi-final by a point, and they beat Cork in the Munster final in Mallow, which was for a historic ever first Munster under 16A title. So they've got off to a good start this year. They beat Tipperary 11 points to 7 and are through to the semi-final. I think it's against Watford. I'm not sure. I need to check that.
No problem. We'll bring that fixture to. I don't think it's this week anyway, so it is in the coming weeks. So hopefully the 16As continue their winning vein, and for whatever the format for the minors, if they keep winning, they won't be going far with it to collect silver. But I suppose we need a bit of clarity as to what they need to do that.
Well, the minors have unfinished business with the competition in that they reached the final last year and were beaten by Antrim.
Yeah.
in Nolan Park, and they have as many as 10 of the squad that were there last year. You know, and they have them placed down the centre. So I'd be hopeful that even if it is an 8-team or a 4-team format, that Limerick would be comfortable.
Yeah, well, hopefully. Okay, Matt, I think we've covered more than enough now this week. Unless there's any other notices for around the place, but I think we've gone through plenty here this evening. I think that brings us to a conclusion. Thanks as ever for listening. Don't be afraid to share.
We hope when we come back here next week, we'll be talking about being in a hurling league, finding a ladies football final, and celebrating a Munster Division 3 Camogie championship. And hopefully that the senior Camogie team will be right back in the mix, and we'll be talking about a winner-take-all game with Wexford.
Yeah, and hopefully the Limerick under-20s footballers get our first win on the football front and on the male side of the house as well this year. And what's been challenging times, but yeah, hopefully at least we'll take 4 or 5 of those anyway, Matt. If we have 4 or 5 of those, I think we'll be doing well. But you never know, we could get the clean sweep this weekend. All right, thanks a million, folks. We'll chat to you soon.